Hi everybody, Natalie, Shapelessflame. Welcome to my channel. Me and my transition grandma lenses are out here in the yard hanging out with the birds today, and I thought it would be fun to show you guys do a little walkthrough of a coloring book that I did last year in cooperation with the West Virginia Highlands Conservancy. They're a nonprofit out of West Virginia, and they work to help conserve and bring education about the diverse ecosystem of the West Virginia Highlands, which is like Canaan Valley area, Dolly Sods, places like that. And it's a very unique area because there are bogs, there's mountains, there's forests, there's so many different ecosystems that exist within the West Virginia Highlands. So this partnership was meant to be like, here's a fun way for kids to learn about the ecosystems and biodiversity, and adults as well. And you know, they thought that my artwork would fit well. And I realized that I've never done a walkthrough or really shown anybody this full book anywhere, so that's what I'm going to do today. And this is the cover, coloring the West Virginia Highlands, exploring the flora and fauna of the region. Also, if you're not familiar, there's in Thomas, West Virginia, which is part of the Canaan Valley greater area, there's a great art shop there called Bloom. I have artwork there. I'm sure some of you have been there before. If not, it's great. There's so much wonderful hiking down there. It's wonderful. So don't crap on West Virginia. It's awesome. So anyway, we're gonna walk through this coloring book, and I'm just gonna show you what it's like, and then I'll drop a link below to let you know where you can purchase it through the West Virginia Highlands. And of course, proceeds go to help fund them, and it's more important now than ever to be funding these conservation efforts when, for obvious reasons. So here we go. All right, so I wanted to film this outside, but the wind, she had other plans. So we're back into the end of doors. And when this was pitched to me, they said they wanted a little beaver to be the mascot, so he appears throughout each page. And of course I illustrated this entire cover, and it was a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And I know this seems so small, but it was 20 pages and it took forever to finish. It took me 6 or 7 months, if not longer, to get this done. In between all the other work I have to do, obviously, but yeah, it doesn't look like a lot, but it was. So here's a little beaver buddy introducing you to the West Virginia Highlands. And I made sure that there was a story that carried throughout, so I wrote all of this, and obviously with help from the conservation folks, to make sure that everything was accurate. But I felt that it was cool to have that narrative come along with it because, you can just have the pictures to color, but the narrative sort of helps drive the point home of what you're trying to say with this. Different types of trees you'll see in the Highlands, dams, pretty little black bear buddies. There's our beaver friend again, a little fish, and a duck. Of course, all the different types of turtles. I drew a comic, freaking snapping turtles, man, aren't they goofy? I drew a comic 3 or 4 years ago about a snapping turtle that was pissed off and using lots of obscenities trying to cross the road because I had an encounter with one on the road on the way to go hiking, and he was not pleasant. They're not nice, but I still don't want him to get hit by a car, so I poked him with a stick to get him out of the way. And snakes, of course. My husband is terrified of snakes, so I had fun torturing him with this page as I was drawing it. Our beaver returns to talk about the candy darter, which is an endangered fish. And then another endangered species, which is the hellbender, which is a giant salamander. And then more stuff about mushrooms. There's a chipmunk buddy holding one. This is inspired by a squirrel, even though it's a chipmunk, obviously. But I saw a squirrel once hanging upside down eating a mushroom, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, so I had to get a rodent eating a mushroom at some point in here. Turkey tails, morels, chaga, chanterelles. Obviously you're going to find a lot more mushrooms in the West Virginia Highlands and just in West Virginia in general, but this is all I could fit on a page, and they feel like the heavy hitters, And then this ramps page I just colored digitally and used in my last newsletter because it is ramp season in my neck of the woods, and I love ramps. They're not quite ready to harvest yet, but I get excited. We talked about the red spruce tree, which is also has been overlogged in the area, so they thought it was important that I include it, and I agreed. So I had to put like a little caveat about it being overlogged, but that people are trying to rebuild it in the area. We have the cheap mountain salamander, flying squirrel, which I've never seen in person. I would probably be so excited. And snowshoe hare, which I've also never seen in person. And then we have all of the birds sitting on the red spruce branches. Bluebirds, chickadees, grosbeaks, northern goshawk, hermit thrush, red-breasted nuthatch. All of which I've seen, I think. Hermit thrush, maybe, I haven't seen in person. Everybody else, though, has been, except the hawk, has been to my bird feeder at one point. And then, of course, it's necessary to say that you, as a human being, are also part of the ecosystem, so you should respect it. So I felt like these pages were important to include, even though they're kind of boring content-wise. Necessary statement to be made. And then, of course, our little beaver guy says goodbye with a butterfly on his nose. So yeah. And then, of course, I also hand drew the back, and the Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area is actually who funded the grant for this coloring book. And I'm just really thankful that I get to work on this. I'm proud of it. Recently, the Highlands Conservancy tagged me in a photo of a bunch of kids that were coloring in these. Like, I just think it's so precious. I love it. So if you want to purchase one, I'll put the link down below. Thanks for watching.